When a Cookie Crumbles, a Northeast Iowa Food Bank holiday tale, read by Connor Kenny from 107.3 The Party. There once was an elf named Chip who was happy as can be. He spent his time making toys in Santa's factory. Chip's wife Sugar was his steady rock. They had a sweet little girl named Sweetie, a chip off the old block. They made cookies every Christmas. They made oodles and oodles, from chocolate chips to gingerbreads to delicious snickerdoodles. But one dreadful winter, Sugar fell ill, and Chip's cookies crumbled when there was one less stocking to fill. Now that Sugar was gone, Chip lost his Christmas cheer. He and Sweetie stopped making cookies like they had every year. Things slowly got worse for Chips and the elves when they saw that machines could make more toys than themselves. Then the day came when Santa sat down with Chip. "We've got to make cuts," and gave Chip the pink slip. No jobs at the North Pole soon meant no food to eat, and if he couldn't find work, they'd soon be on the street. So Sweetie and Chip set south for the city, but even down yonder, things didn't seem that pretty. Place after place, Chip was forced to keep browsing. The cost of living was high, and it was hard to find housing. They found an apartment where he could afford to make rent. Now Chip had to find a job before his last dollar was spent. First, he applied for his own barber's chair. This job was close to home, so he could cut costs and cut hair. But Chip's cookie crumbled, crunching the numbers in despair. Working full-time at these wages wouldn't pay for childcare. With the knowledge of presents, Chip applied to be a mail truck driver doing parcel delivery. But Chip's cookie crumbled, and how sad was he when he was declined the position as he had no college degree. Third time's a charm, Chip thought to himself, for he had to stay jolly. After all, he's an elf. So he applied at a grocery to simply stock shelves. But Chip's cookie crumbled when they wouldn't hire elves. With no money in his wallet and no food on his shelf, into the food pantry walked the unemployed elf. Chip looked for some cookies to cheer up his young daughter. She would love them, he said, as he thought of her. He then saw some on a shelf, so he went to go nab them. But before he could get there, someone else had grabbed them. Before he could cry over spilt milk just too sour, one of the helpers told him, "We have eggs, sugar, and flour." Minutes later, Chip left with no chip on his shoulder. "Let's bake some cookies again, Sweetie," he excitedly told her. And they turned out delicious using Sugar's old recipe. So they left some out for St. Nick on that Christmas Eve. You see, Chip felt sorry for Santa if the only thing that made sense was to lay off his elves so he could keep delivering presents. When the morning came round, Chip strolled downstairs in his sweater to find presents for Sweetie, and in his stocking, a letter. "These cookies are delicious," Santa wrote the old toy maker. "I can't keep a lock on the secret, Chip. You should become a baker." When Sweetie awoke, she too was pleased to find next to their stockings an old set of keys. As Chip sat there humbly wondering what these keys could be, in the distance a crowd gathering startled him to his feet. Out the window they looked to find folks in the street, lined up for miles underneath the sign, "Sugar's Sweets." It was at this moment Chip knew that his wish to find that job he'd been looking for had found him this Christmas. "Well, I got what I asked for," Sweetie said to her dad. "All I wanted was for you to be happy. Mama sure would be glad." Chip sure was chipper with his new lease on life, and he opened that bakery in honor of his wife. So this Christmas, remember how Chip became humbled, and keep your glass half full to dip your cookies if they've crumbled. The end. When a Cookie Crumbles, a Northeast Iowa Food Bank holiday tale, read by Connor Kenny from 107.3 The Party.